Whether it's music, literature, or theater, we spend a lot of time talking about the arts here on American Black Journal. Last year, our guests included a best-selling author, an all-star jazz band, and a successful TV host whose career began at the nation's first Black-owned and operated television station, located right here in Detroit. So talk about the start that you got, Shaun, at WGPR and where it's led you to.
Well, it's led me to feel real old since, I've got an exhibit at a museum. There's nothing that makes you feel old than that. Yes, I'm born and raised here in Detroit. My family is still here and always knew I wanted to go into television. One of my first role models, if you remember Beverly Payne.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to sit in front of the
Channel
TV.
2,
right.
WJBK.
And she was like, I think the first African-American female anchor on TV. And I used to, after I watched my cartoons, after I watched, Kimba the White Lion and the Munsters and the Jetsons and the Flintstones and all that, my grandmother would have the TV on and I would sit and watch her. And just there was something about her. And I think that was one of my first role models. And always wanted to get into the television business. Yeah. And so when I went away to school at Spelman College in Atlanta, came back after my junior year and applied for an internship at WGPR. And so I worked there during the summer, then went back to school, and then after I graduated, got a job. Well, I worked there, as a matter of fact, they didn't hire me first. They wanted me to come back as an intern.
As an intern
so
again,
working for free, okay, and then as a reporter and anchor, and then finally put me on the payroll and was there for several years. And it really gave me the foundation that I needed to go on to the other stations. I ended up being at several different stations throughout my career, but WGPR was the foundation and gave me that experience that I needed.
Shaka Senghor, welcome back to American Black Journal.
Thank you for having me back.
I was saying before the interview, you are a much bigger star now than you were when the first time you came onto the show.
Yes.
We were talking about returning citizens and what that's like for people here in the city of Detroit. And now you've written a book that sort of chronicles that. I really love the title of this book. It was released recently, Righting My Wrongs, Life, Death, and Redemption in an American Prison. And it's writing, W-R-I-T-I-N-G. Talk about where that title comes from and talk about the book.
Yeah, so the title of the book comes from my very personal experience of understanding the power of literature and what that did to help me transform my life. When I was incarcerated, I was a very avid reader. Read pretty much everything you can imagine. And once I began to write, I realized how therapeutic it was. And so literally the title just came to me one day, like, this is really what this is about. It's like going through the process of journaling, writing and sharing, and helping me kind of, look at where I went astray and how I went astray.
Yeah. Talk about that process of writing in prison. What's that like? Where do you do it? What do the other inmates think about the fact that you're writing all the time? Is that easy to do?
No, it's actually not. So when I first started writing, I was actually in solitary confinement. And I didn't have access to a typewriter or anything. So I hand wrote all of my books. And so in solitary confinement, they give you a really flimsy pen. So what I would do is I would wrap the pen in paper until it was, thick like a regular ink pen. And I would literally just write, on anything I could get my hands on. Notepads, back of envelopes, scrap paper. Because I would have to wait for, whenever they brought commissary to actually get new notepads. But when you're a writer, your story doesn't wait for commissary.
Right. You put it where it can go, right?
So it was a very tedious process, and then once I got out of solitary, I had to transcribe that
all to another
a word processor.
What was it about solitary that made you want to write? Is that what got you in the frame of mind to put your thoughts down?
Well, actually, it wasn't really solitary. It was asking myself tough questions about life. I had to ask myself a question of how did I go from scholarship honor roll student with dreams of being a doctor to serving out my most promising years in solitary confinement. And I knew in order for me to answer that question, I had to kind of go back and look at how I landed there. And so I started kind of journaling, and I discovered along the way that I had never accomplished anything of significance in my life. And I challenged myself to write my first book in 30 days or less.
Wow.
And so that was kind of like the pathway toward taking writing serious.
Yeah. We hope you've enjoyed today's program. Thanks very much for watching. All of us here at American Black Journal and Detroit Public Television wish you a very happy New Year. You can always check us out at AmericanBlackJournal.org, and you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.